The power's out. Outside, a winter storm is burying the world in white, and the temperature is dropping by the minute. Inside your house, the familiar hum of daily life has vanished, replaced by a silence that feels heavy. That silence is a clock, and you have a critical 3-hour window to make the right moves to keep your family safe and warm, or to make the common mistakes that can turn this from an inconvenience into a genuine crisis. Most people get it wrong in these first 180 minutes. They panic, they make bad assumptions, and they kick off a chain of events that leads to disaster. We're not talking about some zombie apocalypse movie. We're talking about real-world events, like the 2021 Texas power crisis that left millions freezing in the dark and was linked to hundreds of preventable deaths. Today, we're going to walk through the 7 fatal mistakes people make right after the power goes out. These aren't complicated errors. They're simple, common, and can be devastating. And the first one, well, it's the one almost everyone gets wrong in the first 15 minutes. The first mistake is so tempting, it feels almost instinctual. The moment the lights go out, someone in your house will say it. I'll just check what's in the fridge. With that one simple action, the countdown to spoiled food and potential sickness begins. Here's the hard truth. Every time you open your refrigerator or freezer, you're bleeding out precious cold air. Think of it like opening a window in a warm house on a freezing day. The temperature equalizes fast. An unopened fridge keeps food safe for about 4 hours. A full, unopened freezer can hold its temp for up to 48 hours. That's your entire safety net. Why is this so critical in the first 3 hours? Because right now, your home still has some warmth, and your appliances are at their absolute coldest. This is your peak preservation moment. Wasting it in the first hour to just check or grab a beer is a huge error. That 4-hour clock on your fridge doesn't pause. Opening the door, even for 30 seconds, dramatically shortens that safe window. Do it a couple of times, and you could have unsafe food in just a few hours. The problem isn't just losing hundreds of dollars in groceries. The real danger is foodborne illness. If refrigerated food gets above 40 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 2 hours, it becomes a playground for bacteria. When emergency services are already stretched thin, the last thing you need is a nasty bout of food poisoning. So, here's what you do in the first 15 minutes. Communicate. Immediately tell everyone in the house that the refrigerator and freezer are off limits. They are sealed vaults now. If you absolutely need something essential, like medication, have one person open the door one time, get everything you'll need for the next several hours, and close it fast. Put a note on the door as a reminder. This simple discipline is your first win against the clock. As darkness sets in, our first impulse is to make light. For many, that means lighting a few romantic flickering candles. This isn't just a mistake. You're literally playing with fire. Using candles as your main light source during a power outage is one of the most dangerous things you can do. Let's be real. House fires started by candles are a depressingly common tragedy during blackouts. A house full of stressed-out people, maybe with kids or pets moving around in the dark, is the worst possible place for an open flame. A blanket gets tossed too close, a cat's tail swishes by, a kid reaches for something. It only takes a second for that small flame to become an uncontrollable fire. And with a blizzard raging outside, don't expect the fire department to get there quickly. This mistake is especially bad in the first 3 hours because this is when you set the safety rules for the rest of the outage. If you start with candles, you're normalizing a major fire hazard from the get-go. There's also a silent killer to consider: carbon monoxide. While a few candles probably won't produce deadly levels of CO on their own, they foster a mindset that burning things indoors is okay. This leads to bigger mistakes like firing up a charcoal grill or a camp stove inside, actions that can and do kill. Carbon monoxide poisoning sends thousands to the ER every year, and the risk skyrockets during power outages. The correct move within the first hour is to roll out your real lighting plan. Long before an outage, you should have an emergency kit with multiple light sources. Your first job is to find that kit. Check your flashlights. If the batteries are dead, replace them now while you can still see. Then, hand out the lights. LED lanterns are perfect for lighting up a whole room safely. Headlamps are even better. They give you hands-free light, which is priceless when you're trying to do literally anything else. Get all these working lights together in one main living space. This simple action provides safe, effective light and kills the temptation to use dangerous candles. Light is a huge psychological comfort. Securing it safely in the first hour is not optional. The power's out. The immediate threats seem to be the cold and the dark. But there's an invisible threat lurking in your walls, just waiting for the grid to spark back to life. A power surge. When utility crews restore power, it doesn't always come back in a nice and neat flow. It can come back with spikes and surges, a tidal wave of excess voltage. That jolt can be a death sentence for your sensitive electronics. We're talking computers, TVs, game consoles, and the circuit boards in your expensive modern oven and fridge. Leaving them plugged in is like leaving them tied to a railroad track with a freight train coming. A lot of people think, oh, I'll unplug stuff later if it's out for a while. This is a critical timing mistake. You don't know if the outage will last for 3 days or 3 more minutes. Power can come back at any moment, especially in the first few hours as crews fix local issues. If your gear is plugged in when that happens, you could be out thousands of dollars in a split second. It's not just about money either. A powerful surge can overheat wiring and become a serious fire risk. Here's the right move, and you need to do it within the first 30 minutes. Go through your house, room by room, and unplug everything. Don't just flip off the power strips, physically pull the plugs from the wall. Pay special attention to your most valuable electronics, the entertainment center, the home office, the kitchen appliances. Here's a smart trick. Leave one single, unimportant lamp plugged in and switched on. That lamp is now your signal. When it lights up, you know the power is back. But don't rush to plug everything back in. Give it a good 10 to 15 minutes for the grid to stabilize. Then start plugging things in one by one, starting with the most important, like your refrigerator. This simple process protects your stuff, prevents a fire, and makes sure the return of power is a good thing, not a disaster. As the minutes turn into an hour, the most obvious enemy is the cold. Your home is a fortress of warmth, but without the furnace, it's a fortress with the gates wide open. Heat is escaping through every window, door, and crack. The mistake people make is trying to live in the whole house, trying to keep it all warm. That's a battle against physics you will lose. Your home's leftover heat is a resource that's draining fast. In these first few hours, the temperature drop might feel slow, but it's a race. Trying to keep a 2,000 square foot house comfortable is impossible and will burn through any backup heating resources you have in no time. This is where you need to think like a survivor. You have to abandon most of the house and set up a warm room, a defensible stronghold of heat. The right move, started within the first hour, is to pick and fortify your room. Ideally, it should be a smaller room with few windows and exterior walls. A bedroom often works perfectly. Once you've picked the spot, it's time to move. Get everyone in the family into that room. Bring all your insulation, blankets, sleeping bags, pillows, comforters. Then seal it off from the rest of the freezing house. Close the door and stuff a towel or blanket against the draft at the bottom. Hang blankets over the windows to add another layer against the cold glass. This is now your base camp. By concentrating everyone's body heat into one small sealed space, you will dramatically slow down the temperature drop. If you have an indoor safe heater, this is the only room you use it in. And you absolutely must have a working, battery-powered carbon monoxide detector right there with you in the room. This is non-negotiable. Setting up this warm room in the first 3 hours while the house is still relatively warm is key. It's much easier to keep a room warm than it is to try and raise the temperature once the whole house is freezing cold. This one act of strategic retreat can be the difference between a miserable, shivering night and a safe, livable space for your family. Of all the winter power outage nightmares, a burst pipe is one of the most destructive and expensive. When the heat is off, the water in your pipes can freeze. As water freezes, it expands with enough force to split a copper pipe wide open. The real problem isn't when it's frozen solid. It's when the power comes back, the house warms up, and that ice plug melts and unleashes gallons and gallons of water inside your walls and ceilings. The fatal mistake here is simple ignorance. Most people have no idea where their main water shutoff valve is, not alone how to use it. They wait until they hear the sound of spraying water, and by then, it's too late. The damage is done, and every second you spend frantically searching for the valve just makes the repair bill bigger. In these first 3 hours, as your home's temperature drops, your pipes are entering the danger zone. This is your chance for proactive defense, not the time to learn your home's basic anatomy. The correct action comes in 2 parts. Part 1 happens before any outage. Every adult in your house needs to know where that main water shutoff is, know how to turn it, and test it once a year to make sure it's not seized up. Label it clearly. Part 2 happens during the outage. As the temperature drops, you have to make a call. You have 2 main strategies. The first, and less drastic, is to go around and turn several faucets on to a slow trickle, especially ones on outside walls. Moving water is much harder to freeze and can prevent a disaster during a shorter outage. The second, more aggressive strategy is to shut off the main water valve and drain the entire system. After the main is off, open every faucet in the house, starting from the top floor and working your way down. Flush all the toilets. This lets the water drain out of the pipes, leaving nothing to freeze and burst them. Yes, it's an inconvenience, but it's nothing compared to a $20,000 water damage restoration bill. Making this call early, before the pipes get critically cold, is the mark of someone who's truly prepared. In the first moments of a power outage, there's usually confusion. Kids might be scared, your partner is probably stressed, and everyone has a different idea of what to do first. This is where the 6th fatal mistake happens: a total failure to communicate and get on the same page. Without a leader and a plan, chaos takes over. One person is opening the freezer, another is lighting candles, and a third is burning through their phone battery trying to find news. This kind of uncoordinated scramble isn't just inefficient, it's dangerous. You're burning through your most precious resources: battery life, cold air, and mental energy at the worst possible time. The psychological cost is huge, too. A lack of clear direction feeds anxiety and fear. Kids, especially, will mirror the stress of the adults around them. A calm, organized response can turn a scary event into an adventure. A panicked, chaotic one confirms their worst fears. Getting this right in the first 3 hours is critical because it sets the tone for the entire outage. The correct action needs to happen almost immediately, as soon as you know it's not just a tripped breaker. Gather everyone together in what will become your warm room. Use your command voice, calm, clear, and confident. First, explain what's happening. Okay, the power's out because of the storm. We're prepared for this, and we have a plan to stay safe and warm. Second, lay out the ground rules. Rule number 1, nobody opens the fridge or freezer, period. Rule number 2, we only use flashlights and LED lanterns for light, no candles. Third, give people jobs. This is huge for morale. Giving everyone, including older kids, a specific task creates a sense of purpose. One person is the director of light, in charge of gathering all the flashlights. Another is the master of warmth, responsible for collecting blankets for the warm room. Someone else can be in charge of the battery-powered radio. Fourth, do a quick medical check. Does anyone need medication from the fridge? Does anyone rely on powered medical equipment? It's time to activate your backup plan for those things now. By creating a clear plan in the first hour, you turn a group of scared individuals into a coordinated team. You replace panic with purpose and fear with a plan. That mental shift is just as important as any physical prep. The final fatal mistake is all about bad strategy. Faced with a cold house and the idea of no hot food, people make rash decisions with their fuel. They crank up the wood stove, turn their propane heater to high, or burn through half their camp stove fuel to cook a big meal. This is short-term thinking that can leave you in the cold later. Here's the thing. You have no idea how long this outage is going to last. Assuming it will be over in a few hours and burning through your finite resources is a gamble you can't afford to lose. The goal isn't to be perfectly comfortable for 3 hours. It's to survive for 3 days or more. That wood fire, those propane tanks, those camp stove canisters, that's your lifeline. In the first 3 hours are for assessment and conservation, not for consumption.
Running a heater on high while the house is still fairly warm is a massive waste of fuel. You're using brute force to fight the initial heat loss, burning fuel that will be far more valuable on day 2 when the house is truly frigid. The correct action is to think like an accountant. Immediately take inventory of every fuel source you have. How much dry firewood? How many full propane tanks? How many butane canisters? Write it down. This is your budget. Next, create a conservation plan. For heat, the plan is to be stingy. In the first few hours, let your sealed-off warm room and collective body heat do most of the work. Only when the temperature in that room drops to an unsafe level should you turn on your backup heater. And even then, use it in short bursts to recharge the room's warmth. Don't run it constantly. For cooking, the plan is to keep it simple. The first meal of a power outage shouldn't be a gourmet feast. It should be no cook or low cook. Sandwiches, protein bars, or canned food you can eat cold. Save your precious fuel for when you really need it, like to heat water for safety or for a hot meal to boost morale after 24 hours without power. Thinking like a logistician in these first 3 hours, knowing your inventory and budgeting it for the long haul, is the final piece of the survival puzzle. It ensures that when your neighbors are burning their last log on day 1, you have what you need to keep your family warm and safe. So there you have it, the 7 fatal mistakes that can turn a winter power outage from a problem into a crisis, all within just 3 hours. Let's quickly recap. 1. Stop opening the fridge and freezer. 2. Ditch the candles for safe, battery-powered lights. 3. Unplug your electronics to protect them from a power surge. 4. Consolidate into a single warm room instead of trying to heat the whole house. 5. Know how to shut off your water main to prevent a burst pipe. 6. Create a clear family plan to eliminate chaos and fear. And finally, budget your fuel like your life depends on it, because it might. Notice the pattern. None of this requires a fortune in gear or elite survival skills. It all comes down to knowledge, discipline, and having a plan before the lights go out. Being prepared isn't about being paranoid, it's about being empowered. It's knowing that when the grid goes down, you have what it takes to protect your family. Winter storms are only getting more frequent and severe. It's not a question of if you'll face a power outage, but when. The choices you make in those first 3 hours will define everything that follows. You can be a victim of the circumstances, or you can be the calm, capable leader your family needs. The choice is yours. Thanks for watching. If this was helpful, give it a like and share it with people you care about. Stay prepared and stay warm.